up north in Minnesota. He's doing a camp for kids up there, and so
We know the area doesn't have to be all summer.
I wasn't, but he did let me know tonight.
And I let you know he's been going all summer?
No, he just let me know that he wasn't gonna be here tonight.
Oh, well, same thing we got.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Shall we start? I'll call the meeting to order. Citizens' comments?
No, I'll just do the entertainment.
And it is a big entertainment event. Okay, let's get to the minutes then. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
I'm a motion to approve the minutes for the July meeting. Second.
All in favor? Bills, corporate bills. This is a big one. I have a question on these. There's one made out to John Dalton for $62.50.
Yes. John Dalton is from Imaginary Services, and he's the person who's running our cardboard camp. So
Okay.
we have a contract with him.
All summer.
For those camps, yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, and there will be another big one in the next one, because he did 2 weeks of 9 to 4 camp. So this one is for this week happening now, and then for next week, we'll get that in the next.
Is that the
Okay.
fee as well as for the cardboard and all that?
That's just, so the way, he supplies all of that stuff himself. We supply the building. We handled registration on our end, so he sets what his fee, what he wants to charge per child. We put our fee on top of his fee, and then that check that we wrote to him was for his fee per child. He had 25 kids in the camp, so. Yeah,
So this
sold
That was
out.
the offset account is their revenue, so it's a reduction in revenue, not an appropriations expense.
I see.
But we have a revenue enhancement because of this, obviously, so our revenue number is,
Here's the tricky thing, the revenue was last year,
Oh.
and we're refunding to them this year. So
Okay, because this was a spring
start out in
camp.
all.
is his group have the t-shirts that are in the park too? What group is that? Is that a?
T-shirts?
There-
The green ones?
I think they were blue, they were in lighter during the week, and I don't know if they were part of.
Oh, it might have been sometimes, so we made camp shirts for the kids, and all the kids that were involved in our camps here got one. Sometimes they would take field trips to the other parks to play games. So that might have been,
Another camp.
it might have been one of our camps over there
This was like
playing.
last week, and I think our camps over with.
Our camps were done July 27.
Yeah, so this was last week, and I just wondered who, and I thought it might have been this.
His camp started this week. Last week we ran Lego camp at Cayman, but they were indoors the whole time,
Okay.
or most of the time. And then we had dance camp here. So if it was a group of kids, it wasn't,
It was somebody.
it would have been somebody else's, yeah.
Might have been another camp just at our park.
Yeah.
What is the age bracket for the cardboard? Is that
8 to 15.
8 to 15?
Wow, that's a big range.
Yeah, and 25 is his limit, and he sold out this week, which was great, and then we're almost sold out for next week too.
That's great. I bet kids love it.
It's
Yeah.
fun, I mean, they have a lot of fun.
Well, it seems like they're doing games, it's just not cardboard, it's more, you know, it was.
Yeah, they build structures, and then they build armor and weaponry, and then they have this like epic battle, or capture the flag battle all week.
Oh, that's
So,
fun.
It's so fun. So it's very hands-on, it's teamwork oriented, it's a good camp.
Cool. Does anybody else have any questions on the bills?
So I noticed that the attorney was $3,000, was that 1 month, do we know?
I don't think so, I think it's some bills going back to May and June. I haven't seen it, but I met with Brian this morning on some of the things, and he made reference to the fact that some of that's gonna be allocated back to last year.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to see what that is. That seems very high.
And we have the bills down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is their invoice.
Oh, so it's, okay, yeah, I'll have to look at that.
And it was 40264 with the invoice.
What number?
40264.
What are you referring to? What's the
Yeah,
number?
Yeah. she-
Oh, okay, that's the,
Probably alphabetical order down.
Yeah.
For Catholic.
okay.
Yep. That is true. Eyes.
And what's Home Depot? Why is that 1,600? Do you know that?
I don't know the Home Depot. He did tell me that the 3,250, 3,250 towards the bottom here was because we had to have this tree.
Oh, yeah, I saw that's a shame. We lost
It-
that tree.
Oh, it's split in half. Did you see it? It was crazy.
Yeah.
Split in half, and so when they came to get the branch, they said the structure wasn't stable, so it was a safety.
So
If you look under CA 13, building maintenance and repair, page 2, the detail, it talks about some of the things purchased at Home Depot.
Okay.
So the attorney bill is the invoice 40264. The first dates back to the May 8th. There's May 8th for a set amount of hours, May 9th, May 10th, May 11th, and then on to June 13th, 14th, 15th, 18th, and then 19th. And it continues. And of course, it has telephone conference with D. Sanders, gifts to local governments, prep, email, commissioners, so it's all.
But it's just starting from May.
Yeah, starting from May, and it goes through June 20th, 21st, 22nd, 25th, and 29th. So these are.
So it's May and June?
Yeah, May and June.
So I think
And that's
our
fairly
whole
typical.
year,
We see an August bill getting us for the May and June.
Right.
our whole year budget is like 7,000, isn't it? Yeah, so that seems very high for 3 months. Yeah.
I suspect some of it was the issue with the Lincoln School and the Van Coin payment. I think there was a lot of communication going through that process, and I think Ryan just went through that.
For June, there was, for example, from the 22nd through the 25th and the 29th, this was teleconference with Wintrust. So it was quite a bit of back and
Oh,
forth with
right,
that.
bank stuff.
Bank stuff, that's the 20th through the 29th. So that was all, and one of those out of the 6 here was the review email from Dan Cohen with authorities, and that was 2.3 hours. Yeah, in the teleconference with the IAPD attorney. And
So it's 2.3 hours for Dan still?
yes. Yeah, 2:30,
That was
2.3
just,
hours.
did that include the talk with the attorney for the IEP?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yeah, the review authorities conference with D. Saunders, teleconference with IAPD attorney.
You know what his hourly rate is, Jerry?
No. I mean, the invoice may show it, the hourly.
Say it
rate.
again?
What's
The hourly rate on there, or we can back into it by seeing total hours divided by the total.
Yeah, it looks like, 0.4, what is that, 116? 30 minutes is $87.
$165 an hour.
$165.
165 an hour?
Yes.
Okay.
300, though, it cost us $325.
Yeah, well, I guess that's. All right, shall we approve the bills?
I move that we approve the bills for August the 8th in the amount of $44,410.01.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the petty cash? Someone want to approve that for 2190.86?
I'll make a motion to approve petty cash in the amount of $2,186.
Anybody want to second that?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? All right, reports. Natalie?
Okay. This month, we celebrate humanitarianism in honor of World Humanitarian Day. We spotlight the achievements of Maggie Blinn Denovi. Ms. Denovi serves as the YOU's Chief Executive Officer. Maggie has over 15 years of experience working with districts, foundations, and nonprofits to ensure that all schools are led by a team of highly trained, effective school leaders. You can read more about her on our celebration board. The Imaginary Game, which we talked about a little bit, it's our cardboard camp, has begun. We're hosting 2 weeks of this camp at Cayman Park. The camp is led by John Dalton from Imaginary Services, and both weeks are nearly sold out. Concerts on the Ridge. Today was our final Concert on the Ridge performance. School of Rock joined us today, did a great job. The concert series has been successful this summer, especially the overlap with our farmers market. We have some other musical guests booked on Wednesdays this fall that are playing at no cost to us. So, including the Ridgeville Band is coming. The Unaccompanied Minors, which is a group of young girls who play folk music, they're coming next week. And Gomez Farzuman is coming as well to play. Shakespeare on the Ridge has been very successful. This weekend will be our last weekend here. Merry Wives of Windsor is the show that we're doing currently. It's our adult show. We're averaging about 50 to 75 people a night. Our largest crowd was 150 last Saturday, which was awesome. We've been keeping track of our audience with surveys, which help the foundation pursue funding for us. So that's been an important thing. Also, next year will be our 10th anniversary, so it's great. Come see it if you haven't seen it. National Night Out was supposed to be last night. We had to cancel due to the weather. I know there's been a conversation with Alderman Fleming and Brian, I believe you, today about maybe doing some of the things that we had planned on August 22nd on a Wednesday evening to overlap with the farmers market. So once we figure that out, I'll tell you about it. Fall class session 1 begins next Sunday. Our brochures are out. I'm sure you all got one in the mail, right? These are the brochures. I made them a true fall winter brochure. So we have all of our classes listed through the winter session, so through the end of March. That's not to say I can't add classes, of course I can, but to give folks a good idea of what we're gonna have offered between now and then, so they can register as well. New things, we're bringing back family dance. We've got some new kids dance classes coming. West African Dance and Drum is joining us again. We've got some new adult dance classes as well, so fingers crossed, we'll see how it goes.
Have we always started that in August for the games?
The what?
Have we always started in August?
The classes?
Yeah.
So last year so all of the classes had been, when I first started here, the class structure was like 13 weeks in the fall, followed by an 8-week session in the winter and one in the spring. So I streamlined them to make more sessions. So we do 2 fall sessions, so it does start a little earlier. We start in August. We do a fall 1, a fall 2, and a winter. Then we do a spring and summer. And all of the sessions are 8 weeks long. It also adds more classes, which is more revenue opportunity.
Okay, great.
Yep.
I've seen those special needs classes.
Yes, thank you for saying that. That's another thing we've got. So Yuta and the High Dukes have been doing a Saturday social dance for folks with special needs. It's been very successful.
Cool.
They've got probably 10 folks plus their aides coming on Saturday, so that's like 20 people in here dancing, which is
I'm really
amazing.
glad to hear that, because the first week I came with the kid I work with, and we were the only one.
I know.
It was about 100 degrees out, and the air conditioning was not on, and it was.
Super hot and miserable. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely picked up. It's been,
I'm really glad to hear that.
it's gone really, really well. Also, Laura Downey is teaching a class called Unicorn Grooves, and that's going to be for kids between the ages of, I think, 3 to 6. Anyway, it's kids with special needs and their families. And then she's doing a family dance class for kids with special needs on Saturdays as well. So I love
That's
that.
great.
So that's new. Yeah.
And did we ever use that exit over there, the
Yeah, when people need it, we
Do
do.
people need
Yeah.
it? I mean, can they use it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks for bringing that up. I forgot to mention that.
Great. Cicely is here. If you guys wouldn't mind if we jump to the after-school program so she doesn't have to stay too long. She said she was having a long day, so. Anyway, so we met this morning with Cicely and Lawrence, and we had. Brian and I did, yes. And I had reached out to Cicely and saying that we were thinking about bringing the program in-house. And so they came, and they have a little clearer picture now about what's going on with them, and I'll let you explain.
Yeah, so thanks for having me for the record. I'm Cicely Fleming, Ninth Ward Alderman. So we met this morning. I'm glad we did because I realized, I knew your budget cycle was coming up and you all had made the early commitment to continue this $12,000. And at the time, we were not sure what our budget would allow, but I've since gotten confirmation from the city manager that he is going to make sure the money is secure for us to continue the program on our end, which mostly for us means staffing. Lawrence had retained the 2 women who worked the program last year and found some positions so that they could, be available for the fall, so we didn't have the delay. You know, they're part-time jobs, so it's hard to make the right match with the person who's interested in part-time salary and also going to be great for the kids. So anyways, we're glad to have a meeting because we did get the funds secured and all of my just parents, Summer and then Lawrence Summer as a rec department, we really had to come back to say, hey, we have the money. So sorry about that, so we do. We're excited about moving forward. I told Mr. Mack the program was going to be moving forward, so we think this year will be great because we're going to start at the beginning of the school year. We'll be able to have some flyers and such how, back to school night. We do understand the space, has limitations, so still working with the same model, I believe, which is speaking to Mr. Mack. And then this morning I said we wanted to speak to you if you have some kids you want to identify who might be in need of some after-school recreation and academics. Because it's starting at the beginning of the school year, Lawrence is going to fold in all the other things that we do at other after-school programs. So he has people come to basketball clinics and a variety of other things that we just didn't really have on the calendar last year because we started a little bit late. I think I came at the end of the year, but just to tell you, because Lawrence and I talked for a while after, the program was very successful. It ended up being only boys, which is fine. And the people who were working the program were 2 young ladies, and I would pass by with my dog all the time, and they were out playing football. The staff, right? They were playing football, they were basketball, doing all kinds of things. Mr. Mack went over several times and always said it was working great. He was really excited, particularly for the kids that were there, because a lot of them were the refugee population who did not have somewhere to go after school, and he had been finding them kind of hanging at the basketball court or just sitting in the park until their parents got home. So all in all, considering we got started late and it was cold and such, the program was able to grow, and he's really excited about having it start at the end of the school year. We talked about the date. I think Lawrence said his park program to start with the regular Labor Day, so like 2 weeks after school
A
starts.
couple of weeks after school
Yeah.
starts.
So we'll have this one just in line with every other city park program. And then, working with Natalie once we get the flyers ready. So in case you have some kids who you guys, see over here, we don't know about, we'll make sure they know about the program. So there's that, and then we did, I just actually, after last meeting, texted Lawrence about the 22nd, right?
Is that the Wednesday?
Wednesday, the 22nd, so we're gonna go ahead and go with that. Lawrence is gonna work with some food trucks over here if that is
This
fine.
is a replacement date for the National Night Out.
And we can't call it National Night Out because that's a police thing and they have a certain day, so we're just gonna do like Ridgeville Night or.
And that's gonna be the 22nd.
Yes,
Same
22nd.
time, 6 o'clock or?
So what time does the farmer's market start? We talked about the time in a little bit. I think it's 6 to 8.
We
It starts
run
at 4 actually, but.
Yeah.
3:30 to 7 is the time of the market,
So I
so
think we talked about 6 to 8 because Brian was saying it would start getting darker earlier. By
Right.
that time, and we wanted to have people here with the market, and I guess assuming people work and such, I don't know if they'll get here at 4, so does it maybe make sense?
5 to 7 would be good, or 5:30 to 7, yeah.
Okay, all right, well, we haven't done anything else, we're flexible, we're happy just to reschedule. given the-
And then you've got a couple of food trucks that might
Yeah,
be
so Lawrence is
available.
gonna call them, he said he put some calls in already for some food trucks, and so, Brian mentioned just having a line up on South Boulevard, so we'll kind of coordinate all that, and do kind of a reenactment of the national. I also probably call the fire truck and see if they can come out for the kids and all that stuff as well.
You said a bouncy thing, maybe?
Yeah, Brian and Natalie coordinate the bouncy and the DJ. We have the rec truck, which has games and staff can come over and do, whatever they do. So hopefully we'll be able to still build some community before, back to school, since last night didn't work out. And then I just, want to also got myself and Lawrence, thank you all for making the commitment to the program. I know I can't necessarily get to these meetings, but I've been trying to keep up and watch them. And I know that, this is new, the partnership is new, you all offering this kind of program is new. I can tell you that it's very valuable in the South End, we don't have, the city doesn't have any space really. Robert Crown will help with some of that as it gets open, but that's not gonna help us this year. So we really appreciate you all doing this partnership with us, putting in the finances, opening up the space. Even though we can't serve every student who needs something, I'm happy to be able to, serve some students, and particularly as, taxpayer here in the Ridgeville District. I don't have little kids who are coming to camp, and we don't necessarily as a family do a lot of, the programming you all put on. So I'm really appreciative to be able to see my tax dollars being used for these kids who otherwise would be trying to take a bus downtown Evanston and maybe get into the Y. And the Y sent an email out letting us know that based on their summer numbers, they really expect to be at capacity again this year with their after-school options. So they're already trying to work through, the unfortunate reality that they have to start turning kids away just because, their fire code and their ability capacity. So.
Is this program happening at Crown too?
No, so there is no after school, that's part of the issue, there's no after school program, there's nothing for middle schoolers at Crown. They can go there now and kind of sit in the lobby, but there's no program. So next year when we have a new Crown, there will be space. At this point, that's not on the calendar for something to happen, I obviously will push for that. But I think at this point, the plan for the new Crown is to continue the programs and enhance like the preschool and such like that. With the library space and all that stuff that's there, I will hope that, and I will work with Lawrence to make sure the middle school options are available. But
So the furthest south one then would be Mason Park.
The furthest south is Mason Park,
Yeah.
or if the kids make it to the Y. And our kids just, by location, they do go over, but we do have kids who get turned away because they get their capacity. And the kids from Nichols and all, schools can make it faster than we can. And YOU, I haven't spoken to them yet, but they traditionally have a wait list. We also have just, found out this is the best fit for every kid we have, or not we, but Mr. Mack found that, so. He really thought this, and I'll have him over talk to you all as the school year started, but he really, said this was a really valuable program for the kids it did serve. And I am gonna reach out to, you mentioned this today, I'm gonna reach out to Evanston, thinking about youth hockey or whatever they call it, athletic and sports, and ask them if they'd be willing to donate some skates. I know the sizing might be a little bit mismatched, but it'd be great if the kids can get out and on the ice and, maybe even the hockey people ask somebody to come over and do some, small lesson or something for the boys, or for the whatever kids are there.
Great.
Yeah, thank you for coming, I appreciate your,
Does that make any city question? Because I realize that I also serve you as your city representative, and it's been very long, tense nights over there, but I'm happy to.
Have they broken ground yet for Crown?
The official, the boat groundbreaking happened, the official groundbreaking, I'm gonna know, I think it's gonna be the end of this month, is the goal. It's a lot of phasing, you'll see a lot of, I'll try to update you guys on the traffic. things.
So it won't be done for what, a couple of years or?
Oh, no, we're on a 1 year schedule.
A one-
wow,
Yes,
that's
yes.
pretty
I was
impressive.
just,
Wow.
And this is because of a lot of the funding that we received in the community wants it to be open for hockey season next year. So I mean, that's our goal, right?
Or a year from now.
two full sheets, right?
2 full, no, a year from now, so It is scheduled to be open next.
That's amazing.
October. This is what I've been told, I'm not out there digging, but,
And how does that referendum work?
which,
Like,
we didn't do it.
I know, it wasn't referendum, you got a bond issue, is that what it was? I guess I didn't.
That was
really-
the one regret from the vote I remember at city council, but, yeah, so this, we're like, it's going on credit essentially.
Okay. Yeah, because it was quite a bit of money, wasn't it? Yeah.
So it's quite a bit of
How much
money.
was donated, 12 million, or?
They're about 12 million,
Yeah.
but that will come over some years.
Yeah.
I have about 3 million in cash now, some of it will come after it's over, some will come after year 3.
Yeah.
So we have to pay until that money comes in.
Yeah.
I mean, we still have, our budget obviously is different than yours, so we'll solidify our budget hopefully by December 1st around there. So we still have some proposals for how to generate some revenue, all to keep it off of using off. We had to approve the bonds, but all to keep it, not having to use off bonds.
So did you have to twist some arms to get this partnership going? 'Cause I was like, I thought it was dead in the water, so.
Which part?
The one at Canyon, so.
No, I mean, I think Lawrence and I, we, heard from you all, we obviously wanted more money because we are the city and you read the paper as well as I do. But, Lawrence and I, we think it's very valuable, so we, talked to the city manager and he just said, we're gonna make it work. This is something that, we don't have a facility in South Evanston.
Yeah.
And Levy Center is not yet extended the Olive Branch to middle schoolers, so, and that was helpful, right? And the other part that was helpful was getting the commitment from the women who worked the program last year, for them to work part-time during our summer camps and be ready to go back in August. And so that all kind of worked out. So no,
Well, no, I can speak for myself and I'm sure some others here, that we are excited to have a partnership like this. And I think it works well, or it can work well, so. Just a few weeks ago, we were like, well, let's have it in-house, and we look at that, but it's also nice to partner with your neighbors and make something happen, so.
Nice when the numbers work.
yeah, and I mean, again, because this year, we don't know what, as you all don't, you have a more steady, probably expense and revenue than we do, but, yeah, I mean, I think in theory, I would love, if you all wanted to take it in-house, I don't want it to be a strain. I think probably over this year, we can work on that and figure out, after we have a full year what's worked, what hasn't worked, we don't want to tangibly grow the program either. So, if you all feel like you want to go that way and bring it in-house, then we can definitely, work through that and figure out, once we have a whole, better idea of how it's working.
Well, I was excited when Lawrence talked about bringing the basketball program over and stuff that you're already doing at Mason. I mean, just to kind of share those resources and, that adds to that program, which I think is great.
Yeah, and he's already at the library more than times. Again, we started, so late, it was like just trying to get it open, but he's already at the library coming, so he'll, everything that happens at Mason and there's some stuff at Chandler and Fleetwood will just all roll into here, and I can't speak to all of that is because it's not my area, but.
I just have one more question.
Yeah.
Is CDBG money going to be available in the future?
CDBG money, yeah, I mean, you all have access, right, it's like they use it for you all's parks and stuff. It's not typically available, and I'm not on the committee, but we could apply for, we could look at applying for, I think at this point, particularly with the way that our city budget is going, they're probably gonna try to use that for bigger capital projects, so like those alley repavements and, kind of more infrastructure and, like the playground and those kind of things, because those are gonna be things that we,
That's what the city is going to use their.
I would assume, based on how our budget numbers are going, because it can be used for that, we use it to pay for some of our outreach staff that actually it comes over to the program here. So I mean, I don't wanna say it's not available, but I think there are probably gonna be some bigger needs for that, whereas with this, if we left it as it is, and you all are putting in 12, and I don't even remember what we're putting in, if we could that money is a little bit easier for us to navigate, the money for this program.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't thinking of this program, I was thinking other stuff.
Oh, no, it is, and this year we got our CDBG funding numbers, and they're a for the city. But yes, that, and now, you know, I don't work in Washington.
Yeah.
But thus far, the money that we have been promised to allocate for 2019 is more than we had for 2017. So that money should still be
All
available.
right.
And my last thing is about this special needs program. I saw the flyer, I mean, I haven't been the one, but I was really excited to see, I think I saw it at the week or something. But I was really excited to see you all are doing that. I talked to some people in the community who were concerned about the city's special needs program because it was on our kind of budget list. And I went out and did a couple activities with them, and it is a population that needs service, so I'm glad to see that you guys are doing some stuff here. Even, you know, I know you're doing the dance, and I guess the kind of younger kids' social things, but even, what I've heard from some parents is some more social things, even for the adults. So even past the dancing, some more integrated social skill opportunities. So if you all ever get to that, I would love to work with you, and maybe try to get some community volunteers, or if you guys did the dance, and then maybe you guys did lunch after. I talked to a couple parents who have adult children with special needs, and they said the issue is that sometimes they don't get to interact with, you know, other adults and folks who don't have special needs. So I would love for the Ridgefield and our wards to really kind of, you know, take the lead there, because I think even our special needs program at the city is great, but it's really, those families are really tight and they're really together. They don't necessarily have structured outings for their adult children. So maybe even something like having them at Bike the Ridge would be great. And I know that Alex Anon, I believe, is last name. He owns the bike store across from Penny Park.
Yeah,
Yeah, Alex.
he volunteers at the place near Howard.
Oh, yeah.
Cycling.
Oh, yeah. So he has,
Yeah.
he has an adult special needs child.
Okay.
And so he has some adaptive bikes in the store. And so that might be something you want to reach out to his family. Dancing?
I'm not sure.
Someone went that way when I came in, but I.
Maybe
Upstairs, maybe.
Upstairs.
Anyway, so that might be something that, you know, you think about inviting them over to Bike the Ridge. That might be something Alex is interested in helping with, just to, you know, bring them into the community.
Great, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Charlie Slade.
Jerry, you're trying to add.
I was just saying, on the CDBG, you know, from past discussions we've had, a reminder there, that money is targeted geographic locations based on income issues in the neighborhood.
Sure.
So like Kingman in that neighborhood doesn't qualify, but that's why we were able to use CDBG money for Brummel, because that location did qualify.
I was kind of under the impression that it was took so long to get this last one, that then maybe it was going to dry up. And,
Well, it does take longer than give us the money. Now, they've already told us how much we're getting. When they actually send the money, it's a different story.
different story.
Yeah, but that's, you know, federal, so maybe just to have an increase this year. There is a small sliver of the ward that does, because we've got an alley, there was an alley that we were looking at trying to get paid for CDBG. So, it's very.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
thank
well,
you.
Thank you very much. So we'll get you some flyers as soon as we work with Natalie on, you know, working out the language for those, and then, what's the other thing? Oh, and then the night out, the community night out, we'll figure it out.
Maybe we can have, you know, obviously we'll do some emails, but maybe we can fly for him too.
Yeah,
Just,
for
Yeah,
sure.
but the city would do emails, and we can take on the
Yeah, we could
cost
do
of a
emails
few
too.
flyers. Yeah, we can take on the cost of, you know, some flyers with emails a week.
yeah.
Great, we'll just get the PDF.
Cool.
All right.
Great,
Thank
thank
very
you.
much. Bye.
Okay, so why don't we go back to our regular schedule? Jerry, you can go next.
You should have my report in the packet there. The most significant thing, kind of the same set of reports as last month, just revised with the July financials and rules for year end. So it's kind of a restating of June as the numbers are refined, and there's yet another iteration to take place after tonight's meeting. But the most significant thing in there is among the outstanding unresolved items. In order to close out the year, we need to take care of 2 items that have sat there without resolution for at least 2 board meetings now. So I've got a proposal to charge off and reclassify expenses totaling $367.04. That's made up of two items. One item is a double payment on 403B contributions in June. And the other is for a City of Evanston payment of $42.04. That's probably a water bill that got paid twice, but the staff hasn't, in 2 months, gotten around to verifying that. And in order to close out, we've got to recognize those expenses and charge them off. So I've got a proposal for a motion in my report.
Make a motion to write off $367.04 from CA 97.
All in favor?
Aye.
Does that cover it?
Okay. Just take it as written in the
All right.
report.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Sorry, T1, near the top.
Okay.
Okay, on the appropriations ledger, thank you for that one. On the appropriations ledger, looking pretty good now that we've got the big accruals posted in there for things that kind of span multiple fiscal years. We show overall that we've got about $89,000 of unappropriated funds. That's money that will fold back into the fund balances. One way to look at it is the overall total, but really you want to kind of look at it by fund, looking at the general fund. Across the board, I'll say wages and benefits are pretty much as planned. They're within 1, 2, 3% of what was planned. The big categories where there were some variances, in the general fund, the admin expenses were about half what was planned, and that was mostly due to IAPD dues. We didn't send as many folks to the conference and stuff as had been anticipated. The other category is in facilities, and that's just that they didn't spend as much money maintaining the buildings as anticipated in the budget. That number is going to change a little bit. You approved an invoice tonight for $3,000. It's going to eat into that, so that number is going to probably drop down between the legal bill and that number is probably going to drop down to a $20,000 surplus instead of a $26,000 surplus. The recreation fund is showing about a $33,000 surplus. Most of that is, again, in supplies. There's just good expense control on the supply side, and the expense of maintaining the parks and playgrounds. Looking at the summary report, and look at the detailed report, you can get a little finer breakdown. Vehicles and equipment, that's usually just the gas wasn't as expensive as it was last year on the equipment. And then the last big category of variance was the excess money we had left over from the Roland Park project, about $22,000 there.
So the admin, I mean, you've got legal in a different category here for services.
Oh, yeah. Legal's gonna go over, admin is gonna stay where it is, but the overall fund for the general fund will be, it'll be about a $6,000 difference, $3,000 for the legal, $3,000 for the repairs that were done.
So it doesn't matter if it's out of the category.
If, one category is gonna go over, the other's gonna go under, but as long as the fund overall is okay, we're okay.
Okay.
So this 630.18 in this report is different than the one we got last month.
Yes,
Okay.
because of rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of jumping ahead to the statement of revenue and appropriations. I did talk a little bit in my write-up about the differences there. If you go to the revenue over appropriations line in the all funds total column at the bottom, it's showing about an $89,000 revenue over appropriations difference. That was $103,000 last month. So once we posted accruals, it pulled that surplus down quite a bit. So looking at it from a revenue versus expenses standpoint, our plan was to sit with about 20,000 surplus, which essentially is property taxes that we'll never collect, or county adds to our levy for that. So, and we're sitting at roughly 90,000. So the surplus kind of diminishes to about a $70,000 surplus when you look at it from a cash flow fund type standpoint as opposed to an appropriations budget standpoint. So our surplus is going to be somewhere between that 70 and 90,000 number. The other adjustment yet to come, and I just don't know, it could go either way, it could go favorable or it could go unfavorable. That will come when the auditors do their process of accounting for depreciation and accounting for the pension fund. And that's, they've got to wait for the actuarial reports from IMRF and the fund performance, and then they'll kind of say, okay, there will be some accounting adjustments made for that, and they could go either way. So, you know, point being, don't think, oh, there's 90,000, let's figure out what to do with that. Take a little cushion off of that, maybe 5%, you know, back it off a little bit and know that that's the real number that we probably have to work with.
So take that off the 70.
Off the 70, if you're looking at it from a cash flow standpoint, and off the 90 if you're looking at it from an appropriations expenditure standpoint. And really the appropriate one is the cash flow standpoint, because that factors in the revenue part of the equation.
And then do you want to talk about, Brian gave some estimates for Lighter Park, and he was saying that
You want to wait till
some
you
of
get that
that.
on the agenda? Just take
You wanna
it
do it
in order, or
later?
you want to jump ahead?
Okay, just as far as where the funds are put, it's important to have them in the right fund. Is there anything else? Okay. All right. Brian, you have Brian's report?
I do. This past month has been extremely hectic for the staff with camps and most programs ending. I've been working as much as I can tolerate due to my back. I will be working days starting as early as 6 a.m. I must take antibiotics through a pick in my right arm 3 times a day. I also need to take other medications late in the day for pain. This is going to be going on through August 27th. I'm making progress as expected. Due to the meds, I will not be at the August 8th meeting. I've prepared a Lighter Park recommendation and an after-school program cost projection if we run the program. In the bills, you'll see an invoice from Camacho Rehabber for $3,000. That is the new furnace in the garage art studio. It will be charged to last year's budget as it was installed on June 25th. You'll also see an invoice from Sunrise Tree for $3,250. We lost a big tree in Ridgeville Park after a large branch fell and the tree was unstable. You will also see many Little Caesars pizza purchases and petty cash due to program ending parties for the kids. It was a busy but successful summer. National Night Out, scratch it. We also need to have a corporate secretary to handle those duties in Anna's absence. I suggest that if Natalie Salee wants the duties, she would be a great hire. Our new office assistant will have their hands full at the start of their job. Natalie can handle this position as there are months that the corporate secretary has very little to no duties. Finally, it is good to be back at work. I really must compliment the entire staff for picking up the slack created by my absence. Natalie, Anna, Ruben, and Marcos were fantastic.
I would agree with that.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you.
Let's see.
Do we need to make some kind of motion about Natalie doing those?
New business.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I think that's later. Anna doesn't have a report, although I did talk to Anna briefly about a going away party for her retirement. So we're throwing out some dates, and we're looking at some Sundays in September because she'd like her daughter to be there. But a couple of them didn't work, so we're looking at October 7th as a possibility. I don't know, does anyone have any conflicts, October 7th?
I don't know. I don't have, you know.
Can you guys check your calendars for October 7th? It's a Sunday, so
Would that
that's
be
what,
late afternoon?
like 1 o'clock or so, she was thinking?
To do, what are we doing?
Like a lunch or something like that, you know, going away lunch.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, so we're just trying to come up with a date. So if you could put that in your calendar as well, just to,
Yeah.
pardon me?
I said, is that tentatively right now? Or?
It's tentative, because she needed to check with her daughter about that as well. But that was the last date we came up with.
It's my birthday weekend, so I might be out of town, but not.
That's okay.
Not 100%, okay.
Okay. Okay, so strategic planning and goals, I don't really have anything for that for this month. The art studio renovations. One of the things that the conversation I had with Brian about, and he mentioned it in his report tonight, is that we've already spent about $5,000 or $6,000, I guess, for the furnace and the line going out there. So what's in the budget is in addition to that furnace purchase. So I think that was about 5,000 from last month. Is that what we put in for the art studio?
And so that, is there anything, he mentioned that maybe the floor and the ceiling, he's got some ideas to improve that in the studio itself. The upstairs looks great. So, spending some of that money on that.
On the main
studio
space,
itself,
the downstairs space.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I think needs
Floor definitely.
some work, yeah.
And also some storage. I think we had talked about some storage. But I also had talked to him about just what ideas were for that. If we're going to be heating it all year, and if we're going to be, spending the money to do these repairs. I was just wondering, if we could come up with some programs that we could offer in there.
We've talked about it.
You have?
I have some ideas, yeah.
I think we have to add a little bit too to fix that stump and the concrete around the building, just to make it, more accessible, more stable. And I think probably put something in for some trees, along that, kind of where that tree was, but, maybe to shield a little bit of that area from Ridge Avenue to some extent.
Yeah.
So
Because the tree was doing that before.
Because the tree was doing that before, and, it was pretty top, a lot of it was at the top, but still, it did provide some shade there.
Mhm.
But maybe we do something different, evergreens or something a little thicker, or, I don't know, just some, whatever. But I think we should have something in the budget for that. Because it's kind of left a little bit of a hole there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is nice to have, I will say, without it, which I never would have thought about it before, but it did block some noise, like when we're doing the show. I think Mudlark will find that too when they're doing it, because they use the hill quite a bit there for their productions. But it is nice to have some kind of greenery along there just to create some shade and to block some sound for the performances that we do, so.
Yeah, we might want to think about that.
Well, maybe that's something we could ask Brian to look into, because if we're gonna do it, we ought to do it, in the fall.
Yeah, that's true. Mhm.
Get it done.
I suppose fencing wouldn't really be that great for sound.
About lattice, but it doesn't provide shade.
And it doesn't really provide.
It's not
sound.
really a function, it's not super functional.
Right, right.
But like everything that, stay green all year and, something like that, it's thick and
Yeah.
wood for noise for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice, actually.
I think the floor too, you mentioned the floor, it definitely needs some new tile or linoleum or something. I think that would be a good investment if you're talking
Well, I
about.
think isn't it, because it was draining one time in
Mhm.
there, it's probably not level.
Mm-mm.
So if it were level before we did it,
Yeah.
it probably makes sense. If there's not a drain in there now, it's a functional thing, I don't think. So if it were level, it might be a little bit
Yeah.
better.
The floor in this kitchen is nice, and it's a vinyl. It's not wood, it's vinyl, but it
Yeah.
looks like wood.
Mhm.
Well, there's that engineered vinyl that's kind of looks like wood. That's
Mhm.
pretty good, and then you can get wet.
Durable.
It's
Yeah.
very durable, and
Yeah.
it's a good product. It's not real thick, it's pretty
Yeah.
thick.
The stuff that they got when they redid these floors out here earlier it's nice, yeah.
Yeah.
It's also vinyl. So what kind of things are you thinking for in there?
So we're using the space right now, obviously, for the show, but once that's done, we'll strike everything out. And my plan is just to like really gut that downstairs space so we can see it and clean it. We ran in there, and I was talking to Mike about it today too. I think it would be functional as a rehearsal space. Like if people wanted to rehearse there, they could rent it by the night or by the week. We could use it for meetings, to like community. People will call sometimes and need a space to like stuff flyers or do different kinds of things for different organizations and events. That might be a good space for that as well. I had wanted to incorporate some type of like childcare option for adults that were coming to take classes. We ended up actually offering a lot of classes that you can come to with your child, so we'll see how that goes. But anyway, that's another option for that space as well. So those are the main things that I'm kind of kicking around. I can also, having lost Cayman as a space throughout the year because of the after school program, it's nice to have another option that's here. So if we wanted to do the half-day workshops in this space instead of here in this main building, if we wanted to like we're doing a new soccer league this fall, use it for like when it gets colder out, we can have like, this is a home base for the kids if we were to do something like that over here. So anything that we would have done at Cayman previously, we could move over here potentially. So that's really what I've been thinking.
It could be rented out also for birthday parties.
Oh, of course, absolutely. Yeah, and if there's money put into like leveling out the floor and fixing that, it's a great space. It's not a small space at all. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So, and I started the clean out process after camps ended and started kind of getting some things out of there and reorganizing it. So I think, me and Ruben can spend a couple days in there and we'll look great.
Anybody know the square footage in there?
That's a good question. I don't know. It's probably less than 1,000, I'd say.
I
It's less than 1,000, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the time you got the stairs and stuff, so it's probably 700.
Yeah.
Yeah, not that much.
20 by 30 maybe,
Yeah.
5 by 30.
Well, and now that the upstairs is fixed up and that toilet is functional, the things that we store up there for the productions, I mean, we can just put a little lock on that door and then folks can use the facilities up there too, so, which makes it more rentable as well.
Right, that's true.
I guess as we fine tune the budget, I'd be okay with putting some more money, in the budget for things like the floor, the
Yeah.
walls, the ceiling.
Sounds like
Yeah.
we could get a lot of use better.
Yeah, I mean, clearly that,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and as you said, we need a substitute for
Yeah.
rentals and
Absolutely,
whatever.
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, good. The after-school program, so that is back to more of a thought of a collaboration and the same budget that we had talked about originally with the 12,000 for the staff and then 1,000 for internet and that. So, and Brian seemed happy with that in the meeting today. Yeah, so, and I think they really want to do it. I felt like the city really wanted to do it. So I think that was good to have that meeting, and so I think that's a
Well,
positive.
glad it worked out that way, I think it is a good program, and I'm glad we're supporting it, we're a partnership, and, we don't have the responsibility of,
Yeah, and I think they're pretty excited to just be in this part of Evanston and, being able to offer that. Yeah, I got the sense that they were a little upset that we were thinking about bringing it in-house. So, anyway,
How
so.
do you feel about it?
I'm torn. I love the program, regardless of whether they do it or we partner on it. Part of me is a little relieved that they're doing it because it's a huge undertaking, and so it's nice to not feel responsible for that in that way. I'm glad that we discussed, or you guys entertained the idea of like what it could be like if we did take it over, because it did sound like based on what Cicely was saying, is like maybe in the future that would be something that we did is take that on from the city. So I think it's good to think about that if we ever do that, what that would mean for us from a budget standpoint and from a staff standpoint, so. I think it's great. I love it. I'm glad that we have an after-school program. And for the sake of my sanity coming out of the summer, I'm actually glad that I don't have to run it, so.
Yeah. Okay, so, let's see. Discuss the replacement of the board secretary position. So that was, Brian made a recommendation, and do we want to have more discussion about that?
I think that would be great.
Yeah.
I think somebody, here should do it. I mean, I don't think it's somebody that's not here. I don't think Brian can do it.
Do we have any more idea about how many hours it takes to do it?
I think it's not that big of a deal.
I think it's more just a legal, in a lot of ways, it's more a legal formality that we have it designated because there's state laws that say this must be performed by the corporate secretary.
Right.
But in terms of actual amount of time spent doing things, I don't think.
And some months there's nothing.
Yeah.
And like if there's an election for.
Yeah, like
Well, and I
this
think
year,
for a
this year
while
there's an
there's a
election.
lot more to it when there were elections, but I think the county clerk has taken a lot of that responsibility back. So I don't even think she's as involved in the elections as she used to be.
And you're willing to do it?
Yeah, I talked to Brian about that. He had asked if that was something that I would be interested in. And I mean, it makes sense to me, and I'd be happy to do it. I think a lot, like in terms of the board reports and posting those and whatnot, I do a lot of that. I put them online and things anyway, so it's just, from my perspective, it's just skipping a step from the office manager to me. It would just come directly to me, and then I can just do it. So that's not a problem. I have to become a notary. I know that. It's something that I have to do. I looked into that already.
Why do you have to become a notary?
Because the secretary notarizes a lot of the documents.
Oh, okay. What kind of documents, like?
Well, like the budgetary filings that we have to do,
Uh-huh. Okay.
and probably, I don't know, certification of election stuff,
Uh-huh.
some of the pension documents. I don't know enough to know what all the details are. I know that all the financials that I have to turn over to Charlie to go file with the county have to first be notarized by Anna Christina now.
I see. Okay, gotcha. Okay. All right, then. So should we
I'll
entertain
make
a
a
motion?
motion to appoint Natalie as the corporate secretary effective when? October 1 or sooner?
Probably October 1.
I think that's, would you be notary by then?
I have to take a class. I don't think, I think it's like a couple hours. It's not a big deal. So, yeah, so that should be fine.
Okay.
Second.
And
All in
then
favor?
the same price or same compensation that you've been paying, is that 2,500?
Yeah, I mean, that's what's in our budget.
Yeah. 2,600, okay.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great motion.
Well, seconds.
One second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you.
so I guess with the after-school program, we probably should just agree that, or is everyone in agreement that we're gonna?
Yeah, as long as that's all we spent.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in there.
It's gonna be the 12, right? The 12 grand.
Right.
Plus the $1,000 for
It's
13.
13.
Yeah, okay.
Cool.
So we don't really need to vote on that now since it's gonna be in our budget. Okay. Okay, so then Brian had sent around a few, I went over to Lighter Park with Brian after our last meeting, and we talked about the age of the equipment. Ruben actually was over there with me, and a lot of the wood on that equipment has deteriorated, and so he's replaced it several times. That equipment is probably like 30 years old. So, anyway, so since we have this extra cash in the budget, it seems like a good place to go to spend some of the money because that's never going to be CBDG money.
Right.
So if, you know, it's one time when we do have a larger amount, a surplus. So it makes sense to me, but anyway, so he's got different scenarios here. And then I was asking Jerry today about, you know, he said, we're really thinking more like 70,000 as far as the surplus, but, you know, we'd have to find a little bit more because I think the numbers he gave us were more in the range of 90 installed. And then as far as where the
One of the kind
funds
of
are.
tricky things about that, again, you can't think of the 70,000 lump sum. You've got to think of it in terms of funds. We can move money out of the general fund to other funds. We can't move money out of the specialized funds into other funds. So for example, with surplus and recreation, we can't move over to the capital fund to do a capital project. It has to stay in recreation. Well, fortunately, because the project you're entertaining is a parks and playground project, we can put a portion of the budget in the parks and playground budget of the recreation fund. But the capital improvement surplus, we can't move it over there, so we need to keep a portion of the project in the capital fund. And then we've got to take the remainder out of the corporate fund and decide are we moving it to the recreation fund or are we moving it to the capital improvement fund. And my suggestion would be go to the we put as much in the capital improvement fund because this is really a capital project we're talking about. And just whatever we can't get over there from the recreation, handled through the parks and playground equipment account.
So move as much from the corporate fund into the capital fund.
Yeah.
But there was a
Now,
certain-
we could still pass a motion tonight that could preserve that money now in last year's accounting to fund it over. Or we let it go to corporate balances and pass a motion in the new year, moving the money around. It's easier from the standpoint of how the auditors and everybody looks at it if we were to move the money now as of year end rather than try and make the moves next year in the fiscal year we're in now, but haven't passed the budget yet. You were asking a question?
Yeah, no, I just said, what's easier?
So
It's like
what
you
would
read my
that
mind
motion
sometimes.
look like then?
Yeah.
So how would that motion be worded?
I would suggest direct the treasurer to move $20,000 from the general fund to the capital improvement fund as of fiscal year end 2018.
Okay, so does someone want to make that motion?
Yeah. Move $20,000 from the general fund to the capital improvement fund. I'm going to add to that for the purpose of the Cayman Park Playground Equipment Project.
Or the lighter part?
Lighter Park Equipment Project. As of fiscal year end 2018.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
All in favor?
So that puts,
Anything we put in the capital improvement fund, we have to specify what we're designating it for. We can't just treat it like a savings account.
then maybe have to spend it next year.
And then as we pass the new budget next month, we can attach those funds to that project in that budget.
And then we would have 40,
Yeah,
basically,
exactly.
sort of in the bank.
Right.
Then 30 would be in the recreation.
30 we can budget in the
For playground.
playground equipment line item of the recreation
Yeah.
fund.
Okay.
And then, you know, I feel like as far as just these
Then you're
different.
still short the remainder.
Yeah, how do we get that then?
You have the option to, in the budgeting process, you know, what we haven't done is really focused on Exhibit A, which we have to designate in Exhibit A how we're getting the money to achieve these appropriations.
Uh-huh,
But there's a line item there called funds from sources other than levy. And, unexpended funds on hand to be applied to appropriations. We can basically dip into our fund balances. As I've said in the past, that's not a good thing to be doing for ongoing operating expenses, but for a one-time capital expense, and if you've had some good years where you've banked some money into the fund balances, that is a possibility.
And this would be the year to do that, wouldn't
Yeah.
it? I mean, given the circumstances and,
Yeah.
we've been pretty.
Well, and I think, last year, we maybe had some surpluses that never got allocated to anything or utilized. So I'm comfortable, I'm just saying don't make a habit of it.
But then does that appear on the budget?
Yes. So this page is gonna get tweaked and cleaned up between now and the next board meeting. Remember, every year, after the August meeting, I'll have a one-on-one with Brian where we really focus on getting this to come together.
Right, right.
And so
So that
knowing
20,000, that
that's
extra
what your intention and
20,000.
desire would be, I would work with him to make sure that we made that happen on the appendix, on the Exhibit A page.
Okay, yeah, I would say that we would need an additional 20,000. Given what his figures show right here for that.
You mean in addition to everything?
Yeah,
He's
like we'd have
saying go from
to,
70 to the 90, yeah.
Right. All right.
because all of them are in that kind of ballpark, all these scenarios
Yeah.
are. And as far as choosing one of these, I mean, maybe that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah, I think it is. I think you gotta go with community involvement in it too.
Yeah.
As long as we sort of have a general framework for the budget and how we get paid for, I think it would be appropriate. This to me is sort of uninspiring, to be honest with you. I mean, I would be interested in something that would be more creative, or more, something different than just another place.
Uh-huh.
But that's just kind of my gut, quick look at it. I'd like to know how it ties in with everything else
Right.
in the park. And
Yeah, and I do think you're right about getting community involvement. I think a lot of people would probably want to have some input on that.
Oh, for sure.
there is, it seems, I just to see, these groups that are kind of using that. And
Uh-huh.
I think maybe the Grove maybe uses it a little bit.
What
So,
does?
The Grove. I don't know that 100%.
Oh, you mean the,
The,
old folks home?
Rehab folks over there, I mean, those people are in rehab basically, so I think
Oh,
some of them
interesting.
get out. And I can't say I've really ever seen anybody over there, but I've seen wheelchairs going that way,
oh, interesting.
So, and then lately I've seen more kids playing there as groups.
Oh, you know what
There
it
seems
is,
to be
is
a
that little
daycare or
bees.
something.
Well, it's Little
Little
League too.
League.
so
Yeah,
that
Could be.
Oakton does field trips there.
Is that
Uh-huh.
a field trip from Little Bean?
Yes.
Oakton does field trips.
But also I've seen them all lined up at the corner at Little Beans
Yeah.
crossing over.
Maybe they'd like to underwrite a piece of it too. I would ask them, when we kind of get down the road a little bit,
Yeah,
because that place, I had to take our grandkids there the other day.
packed.
Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, it's always,
It
not
was-
just on rainy days either.
Yeah,
right?
well, it's a rainy day, but it's still,
Yeah.
Maybe we could hold like a discussion there or something.
yeah, it could be great. Yeah.
That's a good idea. Yeah, because that's the population. Yeah. All right, I think we're good. Anything else? Call of the commissioners? Does anyone else have anything?
No,
No. What about citizen
Did we
comments?
finish, was there any other discussion of the budget under old business?
Oh,
It seemed
sorry.
like you skipped over that, and you may have covered it and everything else we talked about, but just.
I don't think anything's really changed unless anyone has any changes they want to make since last month.
No, I'd like to be part of the meeting because I noticed there
Okay.
was, I spent some time going over the budget and, where we didn't spend money.
Right.
That kind
But
of
we were
stuff.
cutting stuff back at some points. and
Yeah,
Yeah, so.
I'd like to know that a little bit better, sitting with
Yeah.
Jerry and Brian and whoever else is gonna be there.
Yeah, I'd like to be there too. I don't know when you guys are planning on doing that. Will that be before the end of the month?
No, last year was around, it was at the end of August or right before Labor Day.
Yeah, I mean, your question, before the end of the month, yeah, it'll be, what I need is time to take what was passed at tonight's meeting and process that,
Uh-huh.
and generate new financials and apply some more closing entries and reclassifications and closing entries, and then I'll have the final set of numbers to work with, and then that's typically when we meet.
So we have to vote next month, right, on
Right.
this?
So
Yeah,
that'll be
so
done.
we need to do it by the end of this month. Okay. All right, I think I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right.